Yes, we are on an hour early because I have some things to attend to this afternoon, but we're here nonetheless. It's a Wednesday. We're on the HBCU Sports YouTube channel, and this is the MEAC and More with your boy Chris Stevens. Hopefully, you all are doing well out there. Let me get these headphones right. So, if this is your first time tuning in, the MEAC and More is hosted by me, Chris Stevens, an HBCU Sports contributing writer and podcaster. And MEAC and More, well, we're covering the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference and our other Division One friends, North Carolina A&T, Hampton, and Tennessee State. So if this is your first time tuning in, be sure to subscribe to the HBCU Sports YouTube channel, become a level 1 or level 2 member. And for the tidy sum of $4.99 a month, you can get all the HBCU sports news that's fit to broadcast, as we like to give it to you. This edition of the MEAC and More with your boy Chris Stevens is brought to you by the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, coming to you live Saturday, January. Not in January. If we had done it in January, we'd have done it too soon. Saturday, July 26th. We will be presenting the latest and greatest awards to all the best and brightest in HBCU sports for 2024-25. We're working on getting some special guests to come through. It'll be myself, Ken Rashad, Kendrick Marshall, Jared Hoffman. We're going to have a great time presenting these awards. So, and if you, for you SIDs out there and conference communications folks, deadline for nominations is June 30th. So you have 12 days. You got 12 days. If you know of a student athlete or an administrator that's deserving of recognition, our bosses have sent you out the awards for y'all to fill out. If you're missing them, shoot us a line. Email Ken Rashad at krashad. The deadline is June 28th. My apologies. So thanks, boss man. Ken Rashad checking in. All right. So the deadline for HBCU Sports nomination, the deadline for HBCU Sports Awards nominations is June 28th. So you got 10 days now. You had 12, but now you got 10. So be sure to if you're a conference commissioner, I'm not a conference commissioner, conference communications director, or an SID in the HBCU, be sure to send in your nominations to krashad at hbcusports.com or staff at hbcusports.com. We'll see it either way. And we will add your student athlete or administrator to the till. And once again, the awards are July 26th. So be on the lookout for that. Got a packed show for y'all today. Not going to waste too much of your time because it is a Wednesday morning. And we're going to start off with shouting out the best and brightest in HBCU track. We're going to start with Howard University sprinter Marcia Say from the UK. She finished third in the NCAA outdoor women's 100-meter hurdles. That means she got a bronze medal, which means she is considered one of the top 100-meter hurdlists in the country, in her own country, in our country as well. So Marcia transferred from Ohio State University to run with David Oliver's group. And David Oliver has done a tremendous job with that Howard women's track and field program. Like he should be on a short list for a lot of Coach of the Year awards in these HBCU spaces. But yeah, Marcia Say will be able to take not a gold medal, but a bronze medal with her. She medaled. And considering for an HBCU athlete to be top 3 in the country in anything, that's huge. We also would like to shout out Coppin State's Jared Gentles, who finished 9th in the 100 in the men's 400-meter hurdles, which means he is second team All-American. Shouts out to Jared Gentles. And also Spirit Morgan. Again, I love her name. Her parents did the big one with her name. Her name is Spirit Morgan from North Carolina A&T. She is second team All-American in the long jump. And those are the 3 HBCU athletes from the MEAC and More segment that made headlines this past weekend in Eugene, Oregon at the national championships. And track and field has always been an important part of what we do as HBCUs. Our boss man, Ken Rashad, he's got a book coming out. I can't say too much more. I'll let him do all the, the details because it's his book, but he's always said that HBCU's track and field is one of the cornerstones of what we do as sports organizations, as universities. And going back to when Ed Temple was coaching the Tennessee State Tiger Bells with Wilma Rudolph and all those wonderful ladies, we have a strong history in track and field. And it's important that we continue to honor that legacy and, big up our athletes who do things that may not require a ball or a score or anything. Well, I mean, the time and the distance of things is still a score. It's just not a score in the way that most people think of sports as a score. But track and field is still a very important sport, and HBCUs have always been front and center with that. So shouts out to Marcia Say, Jared Gentles, and Spirit Morgan for making national news this week in HBCU sports athletics. And we are proud of you all. And don't be surprised if you see their names at the second annual HBCU Sports Awards, Saturday, July 26th. All right, now more into the nuts and bolts of what this program is about. In case you haven't noticed, the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, has agreed that they will opt in to House versus NCAA. And here's the statement from SWAC Commissioner Charles McClellan. This is undoubtedly a significant movement for the Southwestern Athletic Conference and our 12-member institutions as we move forward into a new era of intercollegiate athletics. The Southwestern Athletic Conference remains steadfast in our commitment to provide our membership with the resources needed to positively impact our student athletes academically and athletically. So what Dr. McClellan is saying is, well, we got to pay these kids. And when I saw that the SWAC was opting in, it didn't surprise me because Dr. McClellan, again, this is the man who sits at the top of the board of the NCAA basketball committee. So he's in the room with a lot of presidents, a lot of athletic directors, a lot of coaches. Like he knows what's going on. He's got the inside scoop. He's got the intel, or as our youthful friends say, he's got the tea. So, I mean, he knows all of this stuff. And it didn't surprise me that he got the conference presidents and ADs to agree that, yo, we better opt in or get left behind. And I find that to be an interesting stance because I also had a chance to speak with Maryland Eastern Shore Athletic Director Tara Owens for a story which you can find on the HBCU Sports website. Here are a couple of quotes from AD Owens. No, wait, that's still Dr. McClellan. Did I really uploaded that twice? Doggone it. Wait, no, I didn't. Let's remove this. Yes, this is what AD Owens had to say. Sorry about that. If we don't get on board with what's happening throughout the country, we'll be left behind. We don't want that to happen. We want to remain competitive while being ethical. We wanted to invest in the athletes for what they'll be doing for us and try to keep up with what's going on across the landscape. And when I asked her about, certain schools, not HBCUs, but schools moving down levels, because Hartford is moving to Division III this fall. St. Francis of Pennsylvania, who just played in the NCAA tournament, lost to Alabama State, by the way. Shouts out to them Hornets. Is moving down to D3 in 2026. So this is what AD Owens had to say about that. She explained that UMES will be tuned into everything going on around them because risking the university's future for athletics is not in the administration's plans. We have to stay mission focused and do the things that we can do because we're not trying to keep up with the Joneses and do what Maryland College Park obviously is doing. There may be decisions that come down to us that make dramatic adjustments that we don't know of just yet. We're making sure we're still in line with Title IX and gender equity, so we're only doing this for men's and women's basketball. Since we don't have football, that puts us in a better position. I think we'll be fine because we won't make decisions that jeopardize the institution. So I was glad to hear AD Owens say that, and I really hope that the NCAA Division I and Division II HBCU institutions try to keep that in mind, because watching what's going on right now with respect to the crackdown on DEI and all of these other things that have a trickle-down effect. They talk about trickle-down economics, trickle-down racism is the thing, clearly. So our schools need to preserve our energy for what our schools were founded for, and that is educating young Black people, making sure they have everything that they need to be successful. And I hope that that mission isn't lost on HBCUs that feel like, oh, we can keep up with, these Power Fives and these mid majors, and that shouldn't be the goal. I mean, yes, athletics is important, but it shouldn't come at the risk of our university. So I was glad to hear AD Owens say that. Now, if you've noticed, the SWAC has opted in. People are wondering, well, why hasn't the MEAC opted in? I don't have any further information on that, but what I can tell you from this, shouts out to Silas for checking in, and shouts out to Stutter and Nuke for checking in as well. Then we'll make sure I shout out those gents before I continue. I think what Commissioner Stills and the 8 MEAC institutions are doing is just, weighing what can be and what can't be. Because I can tell you from personal experience that Delaware State, as great as we are making strides in everything academic, athletically, it's still an uphill climb. And we just hired Deshaun Jackson as football coach. We don't know how that's going to work out yet. I would love for, I would love to tell you guys with the utmost confidence that Coach Jack is going to win 7 games, sell tons of tickets, and DSU football is going to be back on the map. I would love to tell you that. But we don't know what the new guys look like. We don't know what the returning players, if the returning players are going to have sufficient motivation, because the last 2 or 3 years has just zapped the life out of Delaware State football. I mean, Rod Milstead was close to a winning season. I told you guys this before. 2022, they started 4-2, but then COVID just swept through the team like a madhouse, and everybody got sick, and that was that. They won one more game after that. They finished the season 5-6. Would they have beaten Central? I don't know. Could they have beaten Campbell? Possibly. But, the couple of those games that went down after, guys got sick, it was just hard for them to win again. And the university felt it was prudent to make a change, even though Coach Milstead had those guys playing at a competitive level. Then you bring in Lee Hall. And Lee Hall, again, I say this every time. No, there's no beef with that man. He seems like a nice guy. He seems like a dude who knows football, but he didn't know the lay of the land when it came to Dover. Nobody does, because Delaware State is its own unique institution. And I'm not saying that just because I went there. I mean, I could be saying that because I went there, but it's just hard, man. It's hard for athletic programs, especially at an HBCU level, to compete in a money game when the money game was never meant for you to compete in the first place. I mean, we are talking about universities that spend billions of dollars on athletics, or have people that are willing to spend billions of dollars on their athletic programs. I mean, there's no T-Boone Pickens in the HBCU space. I mean, there are a lot of Power Fives and mid-majors that have these obscenely wealthy donors that can say, okay, so what do you guys need this year? I don't care what you need. Say it. I can cover it. Oh, you guys want a new softball facility? Got it. Here you go. The football team needs some new weight room stuff. Gotcha. Okay, so you guys want to build a new basketball facility. Now, can I do that? Yeah, I can do that. There are some schools with alumni that can actually do that. Ours, I mean, not saying that we don't breed successful people. I mean, that would be a falsehood all unto itself. But PWIs, for some strange reason, just have these multi-billion dollar wealthy folks at the ready to donate to their institutions. And as I've said before on this podcast, all money ain't good money. I mean, we've had to watch HBCUs wring their hands and twiddle their thumbs at the fact that Bill Cosby, a dude who was slipping stuff in women's drinks and sexually assaulting them, was donating millions upon millions of dollars to HBCUs. Howard and Jackson State, well, Howard said Diddy never gave him the money anyway. So surprise, surprise. But, they all, they don't, I know they had to have an awkward feeling when that man started going down for the sex trafficking stuff. So money is always going to be a dirty game and a dirty thing when it comes to athletics, especially in the HBCU space. I mean, we don't have perfect alumni. We don't have perfect billionaires ready to drop dime and, build facilities for our schools. And these kids and their parents, they want to see the top of the line. They want to see LED screens. They want to see stadiums, and they want to see arenas not with bleacher seating, but with personal seats. Like, if you walk into an NBA building and you see, chair backs, that's what these parents and their young student athletes want to see. They want to see tangible things. I mean, you can promise a kid playing time, stardom, a free education, but a few parents, they are big and they try to impress us upon their kids that, oh, the facilities are dilapidated. I don't want to send my kid to this place, because I'm telling you, I cover high school basketball in Delaware, and I've heard people say some obscene things about Delaware State. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Good luck. And then when they find out that, whatever PWI they feel like their kid is better than DSU for, is not going to give them any time, and they end up losing that scholarship after a year, because, friendly reminder, Scholarships are a year-to-year renewal thing. So, and this isn't me coming off as bitter. I mean, I'm just very defensive of, I defend HBCUs in Delaware State with my very being, because Delaware State saved my life, clearly. But, shouts out to Christopher Dukes. Be sure you tune in on Friday for the swag page. And shouts out to Lawrence Q for checking in. And shouts out to Jonathan McGriff for checking in. HBCUs are not for everyone. Let them stay over there. I played at both. You're not welcome at those PWIs after graduation. Now, that I can't speak to. What I can speak to is, being a Delaware State alum, it is always good to go back home for homecoming. Even though the football team isn't very good, we still have a good time at homecoming. So hopefully that's one thing that Coach Jack can change. But shout out to Kelly Flicks for checking in, Mr. 500 fans. I ain't forgot. We get more than 500 at the link, buddy. Please believe it. Please believe it. But, it's just going to be hard for HBCUs to compete in this new landscape, because certain PWIs, certain Power Fours and PWIs have the money to just keep throwing at athletic programs, and now they can legally throw it at kids. They can legally throw it at kids. They can legally say, all right, we'll just sign you to this NIL deal. Never forget, Nigeri Kennedy, who went to one of the greatest institutions in this country. She went to Stanford. A bunch of educated, brilliant, rich, game-changing people went to Stanford. She's got $2 million from the Texas Tech softball program. Now, if you were to say, what school would you rather have your kid attend from an academic perspective? It's Stanford all day. But Texas Tech threw the bag at that young lady, and she was the goods all year long, and she's going to be the goods all year next year. I mean, that's honestly a bargain, if we're being completely honest, what Texas Tech gave Nigeri Kennedy. Like, if she can get $1 million for just giving Texas Tech something they have never had, imagine what Oklahoma could give her, or Texas, or UCLA, or maybe even Stanford, if they were feeling like, they wanted to bring her back. I mean, we're in a new landscape now, where $1 million softball athlete is not a surprise anymore. And we're going to see a bunch of wealthy kids, and granted, they've earned it. I mean, you got to remember, those of us who went to college, and I'm talking to the athletes now. I'm not an athlete, but I covered athletes as a student reporter. And I know kids that, would get up, go to an 8 a.m. or go work out first, then come to an 8 a.m. Then go to their 10, maybe have lunch at 11 or 12, go back 2, 3, study hall, and then practice or a game. That is a 12, 13-hour day for 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old kids. That's a lot. That's a lot. And, kids were not legally being paid for it back then. Now they can be. I mean, it is what it is. And it hurts HBCUs because we've been underfunded so much. Like, it's not even funny. I mean, we've talked about the billions that Tennessee State is. Oh, Tennessee State just got a $97 million, push to keep the institution going. And that's still not enough. That's still not anywhere near what the state of Tennessee owes Tennessee State. We've talked about how Alabama State and Alabama A&M have gone back and checked the books and say, oh, wait a minute, Alabama, you owe us this much. And the governor's like, we don't know nothing about that. We were not meant to compete with PWIs and Power Fours. The game was rigged from the word go. The game was rigged from integration. The game was rigged from integration, clearly. That, we knew that we were going to start losing kids because Power 5, back then it was more than that. So yeah. Oh, they're absolutely fishing for rings, make no mistake about it. That championship luster, it's real. And when you can pay a softball pitcher, and granted, Nigeri Kennedy is the real deal. Let me say that. If you watched any of the college tournament this year, the super regionals, the World Series, she was good right up until the first inning of Game 3. She ran out of gas because they made her throw every pitch. But if you are, trying to win something, you got to start paying these kids. And that's where HBCUs are going to have to figure out what the cost of winning actually is worth. Do we want to be Power 5 contenders? Do we want to take home national championships? And can we keep our institutions open and credible in the process of doing so? That's the question that ADs, chancellors, presidents, boards of trustees, conference commissioners, this is stuff that they are all going to have to answer, and they're going to have to answer it quickly, because the way this landscape is changing, it is not going to surprise me. I mean, there's already been rumors about a super football league separate from the NCAA. Like that's been in talks for years. And I do mean years. Shouts out to Silas and said, try getting up at 5 a.m. in the morning for 2-a-days. Whew, Lord have mercy. I remember 2-a-days from high school football practice in the summer. Not fun. That's why I wasn't a good football player. I just didn't have a commitment. I should tell y'all my favorite high school football story, but maybe once upon a time. Maybe later on. Shouts out to Aya the Watcher, says it was rigged before that, as separate but equal was the law before integration. This was not actually done as pointed out by the founder of North Carolina Central, but they still collected taxes. Yeah. Separate but equal was some BS. I mean, shouts out to Plessy versus Ferguson. Go read up on that case. Jonathan checks in again, says, my cousin plays on the FAMU team that beat Miami. Everything changed after that. I don't want to compete for championships. Let's enjoy our classics and each other. I'm on board with this. I am fine with this. Hey. And this is a person who absolutely exoriated. I mean, I ripped the Celebration Bowl when it was first introduced. I said, this is some BS. Why are we taking ourselves out of the NCAA equation when we've had teams that have been on the doorstep of an NCAA FCS championship? We need to be competing for national championships. My bad. Because the Celebration Bowl is the best bet. Each conference takes home $1 million. You get to be the first bowl game. You get to be on ABC. You get all of these national celebrities checking in. It's perfect, man. It's perfect. Stutter and Noop says you can't pay athletes and build facilities at most, if not all, HBCUs. Yeah, it's going to be hard to do. And separate but unequal. It's a challenge. It is absolutely going to be a challenge. I just don't see how we can do this and still keep the integrity of our institutions, which to me is more important than sports, honestly. And I mean, sports are my lifeblood. I mean, I've been a sports writer for going on to, actually, this is year 23 for me. I've been doing this more than half my life. And I've been doing it, covering HBCUs in between time. And it's been an important part of my life, but I don't think HBCUs should risk the overall health and well-being of our institutions just to try to chase a sports dream. I just don't see how that can be possible. I think we can have both, Ida Watcher says. Top two teams in the Celebration Bowl, and we get teams in the FCS playoffs at large bids. We've done it before. We've absolutely done it before. I mean, there have been times when, who was it that was it A&T or Central that won a playoff game the one year they didn't make the Celebration Bowl? I'm sure Ida Watcher will let me know, and I'm sure anybody from A&T will correct me on the back end. Wow, Lawrence Q says I'm the opposite. I was all in on the Celebration Bowl, and then I flipped to being against it. Lawrence, why were you against it? Let me know. Just leave us a comment and let us know. But yeah, I just think that we were never meant to compete in this game, so we should stop trying. And that's gonna, be a hot take for a lot of people. That's gonna be a point of consternation for a lot of folks. But we need to save our schools first and foremost. That's the big thing. We need to shield ourselves as best we can from the threat of Donald Trump and Linda McMahon. Linda McMahon. The same lady who got tombstoned by Kane on Monday Night Raw in 2003 is the head of Board of Education. Why are we in danger of losing everything from a lady who got tombstoned by a 7-foot burnt up guy? Come on now. That's the stuff that bothers me about this, whole administration. Linda McMahon is the head of the Board of Education. Holy Moses. Shouts out to Adam Spencer checking in from the West Coast, from Pacific Northwest. Go Pirates. Ida Watcher says, I think we just need to find a way to fund going to the FCS playoffs. And Silas says, remember, FAMU won the first NCAA FCS championship, in 1978. But from what I understand, those schools have to pay a lot of money to participate in the FCS playoffs. Kelly Flick says, I think we can have both. Depends on no conference schedules. South Carolina State and North Carolina Central are actually positioned correctly. Yeah, I can see either one of them making the FCS playoffs this year. Absolutely. Ida Watcher says, East Carolina turned down Linda and Vince donating a large sum to the business department. Yeah, because Vince McMahon is a pervert and his wife turned a blind eye to it. Exactly. I believe no, this is out from A&T Roy. He says, I believe no HBCU has won an FCS playoff game since 1999, but I'm not sure. I think I think A&T or Central did 1 year when they were not in the Celebration Bowl. I could be wrong. I keep thinking about it. It just, I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not saying whatever in a dismissive way. I'm just, my brain is, trying to work this out in my head because I swear, I think somebody won one of these years in Celebration Bowl era. I don't know who. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'm glad to be wrong. I'm glad to be wrong. See, I had to watch. You got all the good inside information. Linda does not even live with Vince and has not for over 10 years. See, I didn't even know they were separated. I did not know they were separated. And I'm a WWE guy. I mean, I'm a wrestling guy. I've watched wrestling since the last days of AWA, World Class Championship Wrestling out of Dallas, back when WCW was NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. See, I've been a wrestling guy forever, but I did not know Vince and Linda were separated. That's how these things. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to ride with A&T Roy on this. He said, nope, we both lost to Richmond. All right, so I'll just go ahead and say that, But yeah, we've made the playoffs before and still made the Celebration Bowl, so it's possible. But I would hope, I want us to start winning at some point. I do want us to start winning at some point if we're going to stay in the FCS playoffs. But I don't mind the Celebration Bowl. I would like the fact, what I would actually like? This was something that I actually pitched to a sports agent years ago when I was a student at Delaware State. I said, we should have a bowl series of HBCUs. And he was like, oh, wow, you should pitch that to somebody. And I lost all the research that I did for that in college when I graduated. I threw out all my papers when I graduated. Just silly me. I don't know why I did that. But I would like for us to explore the possibility of, not doing like a tournament, not a tournament, but, just a bowl series. Like, how, the bowl divisions go, like nobody really, takes anything home but a trophy, but people still like the games. Like you have the, you got the, like people name bowls after, there's a Pop-Tarts Bowl for crying out loud. People love the Pop-Tarts Bowl. So why don't we have an Uncle Nearest Bowl? So, that may not be good for the kids, but we could have an Uncle Nearest Bowl, maybe. I don't know. I would like to see the Celebration Bowl be accompanied by a Division II bowl, or maybe even another Division I bowl that takes teams that may not have been Celebration Bowl worthy, may not have the points for FCS playoffs, but still they would make an entertaining game. Like, could you have, like, we saw Central versus Alabama State, in the Orange Blossom, but that was the Orange Blossom. That was poorly attended because FAMU wasn't in the Orange Blossom, and the Orange Blossom folks figured out we really can't have this game without Florida A&M, can we? So, but if you put Central versus Alabama State, say in Charlotte or Nashville or Birmingham in Christmas or something, I would think people would attend that. Shouts out to DLOB 2010. The Louisiana Hot Sauce Bowl, Sweet Baby Ray, even though he a white man. Hey, look, whoever wants to sponsor these games, these bowl games, I legitimately think we should have a bowl series. Like, just have your best Division IIs that don't make the playoffs and your best Division Ones that don't make the playoffs. Have a bowl game in, Atlanta, Charlotte, maybe Jacksonville, possibly Birmingham or Montgomery. I don't want to go too far north, and I'm an up north guy. I was gonna say DC and Philly, but it's too doggone cold in DC and Philly for a bowl game in December and January. It just wouldn't work. People are not gonna sit out in the dead of winter, for a game that is tantamount to an exhibition. Adam Spencer says getting university presidents to move collectively is the main issue right now. Yeah, because everybody's got to figure out what they're gonna do moving forward. Because everybody's got to have a plan. Because the way this thing is moving so rapidly, you are going to get left behind if you don't act decisively and quickly. It's just hard to, Florida Beach Bowl. God, I hate that went away. If you missed Ken Rashad's interview with CIAA Commissioner Jackie McWilliams Parker, a very fun a very enlightening conversation, by the way. You find out just how dope Commissioner McWilliams Parker is, and how she is going to be a super role model for young ladies in athletics coming up. She talked about why the Beach Bowl flopped, because the Beach Bowl didn't want to make the kids comfortable. And that's the point of a whole bowl game, is to make sure the kids have a great experience. So shout out to the Beach Bowl guys. Way to drop the ball. Myrtle Beach. Does Myrtle Beach have a football stadium, Kim? I'm not well versed in South Carolina. The only time I've been to South Carolina was I went to Green. I was on an HBCU tour with a church when I was 16, and we went to a Cracker Barrel in Greenville, South Carolina, and I have never felt so civil rights area-ish. Like, them white people looked at us like they literally wanted to, chase us out. Legitimately chase us out. And I was 16 years old, and we're 16, 17-year-old kids looking around, these white people looking at us like, damn, we just try and eat. But yeah, that's my South Carolina experience. Conway. That's where Coastal Carolina is. Yeah, they can play. Yeah, they can play it there. I mean, call it the Myrtle Beach Bowl. To see if Coastal Carolina wants to sponsor the joint. Shout out to Stephen Campbell, our FAMU correspondent, checking in. FAMU, South Carolina State, Tennessee State, A&T are the only HBCUs that won playoff games. Only FAMU, Tennessee State, and South Carolina State beat non-HBCU teams. FAMU has won the most playoff games. I did the research on South Carolina State. South Carolina State beat the Citadel one year when Bill Davis was the coach. I want to say that was either 81 or 82. I can't remember which one. But yeah, South Carolina State has beaten, and of course FAMU won. I mean, FAMU won the whole shebang and bang. They beat UMass to 78 with Vince Coleman as their place kicker. I always find that very interesting that one of the greatest stolen base thieves of all time was a place kicker on the Florida A&M football team. But that's the beauty of athletics, man. If you're good in multiple things, why not? ODB says, don't understand why black folks love Cracker Barrel so much. So, see, that was my only Cracker Barrel experience, because that just totally turned me off to the institution. Like, I've never set foot in a Cracker Barrel again, and this was in 1998. We're in 2025 now. But the way them white folks in Greenville looked at us, you ain't never got to worry about me going back in the Cracker Barrel. You ain't got to worry about me going back in the Cracker Barrel, a cracker bucket, a cracker Tupperware unit. I'm good. But yes, South Carolina State beat Furman in 82. All right, so it was one of the white South Carolina schools that they beat. Shouts out to Stephen Campbell. All right, so yeah, to put a bow on this and get into the another topic, before we move on to the next topic, every HBCU at a Division I and a Division II level is going to have to figure out what they're going to do with NIL and the transfer portal and this house settlement, because most schools are not going to be able to afford to pay their students and upgrade their facilities, as Stuttering Noob said. It's just not something that we can do at this point in time. We got to figure out where the sweet spot is for us to be athletically competitive and still academically credible and safe and sound. That's the key. And moving on to our next topic, I saw an interview done by Kyle Mosley of HBCU Legends. He talked with Hardy Pelt, the founder of Urban Edge Network, and Curtis Symonds, the co-founder of HBCUGo. And I found that Mr. Symonds' comments were very interesting regarding the television and streaming stuff. So here is what he had to say.
Well, I mean, it's what we talked about earlier when we first started this conversation, man, is that we're just trying to grow the network, man. And we've been, this is going in our fourth year. We're very happy on how we've been taking our steps to move in the right direction. I mean, we first went out and locked down the conferences with the SWAC, CIAA, SIC, and we're still working on the MEAC. But those 10-year deals are now starting to begin to pay off for us in the fact that people are seeing the quality of work we're doing, how it's really resonating in the community. And now that the conferences are starting to do new deals with ESPN, we're no longer so much the second fiddle as we started at the beginning of this game. And that started to open up doors where a lot of these classics have now seen what we're doing. They see our distribution, that we're not behind a paywall, we're free. And it's really starting to get more conversation for more people, and so we're very excited, man. I think this year will be a kickoff to our best year in our schedule, and as you mentioned, we've got some really good classics and good teams in these classes that make it a really good, attractive television, what I would say, peak at the schedule at the end of the day, so we're very excited, man. We're very excited about the schedule.
Now, you've heard the first part of that. The SWAC, the CI, the SIAC, working on the MEAC. So, here's where we start to have that conversation that we always like to have around this time. And that is, how much longer can ESPN hold on to HBCU athletic rights? Oh, shouts out to Whizzle 2212. When I attended Jackson State, I used to wait tables at the Cracker Barrel in North Jackson. What an experience that was. Man, you should write a book about it, because I guarantee you, I bet you got some stories. But yes, to what Mr. Symonds said, HBCUGo is actually, they really do a wonderful job. I mean, they have the GOAT. I mean, they have Charlie Neal on the call. Those of us who are of a certain age remember Charlie Neal doing that for BET. Antoine Bethea is an analyst. Laurencia Moulton is the sideline reporter. This makes me feel old because I remember watching her father, Lawrence, when he played for Syracuse back when the Big East was a thing. That makes me feel incredibly old to watch a dude who I watched play college basketball watch his daughter as a sideline reporter. I'm old, man. We all old. We should all feel old at that little bit of information. But yeah, HBCUGo does a wonderful job. Silas says they did a wonderful job televising the State Fair Classic between Prairie View and Grambling. I believe it. But I think what's going to be hard for networks like HBCUGo and Urban Edge is that ESPN has had a 40-year head start. What goes to a 40-year head start, 45-year head start. It's hard, man. I mean, and what ESPN Plus is ESPN Plus is transmitting this the signal from most schools, local play-by-play teams and broadcast. That's basically what it is. Like, it is exceedingly rare that you'll get an ESPN level crew at, say, a MEAC or a SWAC school. If that game is on ESPN or ESPN2, obviously. But on ESPN Plus, it's basically whoever the local public address the local broadcasters are. Basically whoever the local broadcasters are. And for HBCUGo to offer a attractive alternative, that's huge. Same thing for Urban Edge. Urban Edge, I think it was Urban Edge that I reported last year that got a distribution deal for like 1 million households in South Florida. Now, mind you, South Florida only has one HBCU, Florida Memorial. But these kids can, watch a game and see, what Grambling looks like, what Clark Atlanta looks like, what FAMU looks like, what Alabama State looks like, what Winston-Salem State looks like, what Virginia Union looks like. They can see all of this stuff and they can say, wow, if I work hard enough, if I keep my grades up and, if I'm good in athletics, then maybe I can get a spot at one of these schools. So what Urban Edge and HBCUGo are doing is incredibly important, but I just don't know if they can wean our schools off of that ESPN memory, if you will. I was about to say the other word. We all know what the slang word for memory is, but I'm trying to be mindful of FCC guidelines. But you know what I'm talking about. It's going to be hard to wean the HBCU NCAA Four off of that ESPN boob. Just is. It just is. And in the Celebration Bowl, that's definitely going to make it tough, because if you're going to tell ESPN, all right, we would like to splinter off to some of our rights to HBCUGo and Urban Edge, but we still want y'all to give us $2 million in the spotlight for the Celebration Bowl, ESPN is going to look at them like they're crazy. So it's a catch-22. It's hard, man. But I love what each does. Like, it's so fun that, especially since we at HBCU Sports, we can't always go to the games, but we can watch them. Like, it's always fun that I can turn on my laptop, watch a game on Urban Edge, and I can turn on my TV and watch a game on HBCUGo, and just be back and forth, 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 back and forth. Stephen Campbell says this is simple. Talk to the commissioners. Again, it is all about the money. Are we looking for other opportunities? Kim Spears says ESPN gives HBCUs crumbs, make more money off your product than you do. I can't argue with that. Because I get it. $1 million for each conference is nice, but it still should be higher considering what HBCUs bring to the table. The Celebration Bowl, I think we've only had a couple of Celebration Bowls that have just been absolute slaughters. Jackson State did a number on South Carolina State this past year, but other than that, we've had some very competitive Celebration Bowls. A great way to kick off what is going on here, and with bowl season. And I would hope that people who are in positions of power are taking note of, knowing what our conferences and our schools are worth. And I get it. ESPN they call it the worldwide leader for a reason. They have everything. Like, you could probably turn on, those of us who are of a certain age. Remember when I said I was a wrestling fan from way back? I used to come home from school in grade school, turn on ESPN before I did my homework, which used to get on my mom's nerves, and watch World Class Championship Wrestling or AWA. Or every so often they would show monster truck stuff like Bigfoot and them. Like, ESPN still has that. It's just in a different format now. Like, you can turn on ESPN Plus right now and you can watch a MEAC or SWAC basketball game from January. You just gotta look for it. So ESPN, it's a matter of convenience, and it's a matter of, omniscience, as it were. If they're everywhere, you can't miss them. And that's what ESPN does better than anybody else. They're like Visa. They are everywhere you want to be. Kim Spears says, look at it this way. ESPN makes you pay for watching the game. Then they take the halftime show after we complain about them not showing it and make you pay for that separate. Yeah. I can't argue with that. I can't argue against that. It's the truth. It's the truth. But if HBCUGo and Urban Edge can sort of do anything, they can sort of make ESPN be a little more cognizant of how they present HBCU sports. If they can do that, then I think that's a mission accomplished. That's a job well done. But if they can somehow sneak in the back door and get a little more of that pie, because the pie is massive, and HBCUGo and Urban Edge have like slivers of it. But if they can start taking whole slices that you could put either let me ask y'all, because I'm hungry, I'm fat, I don't care, I'm a greedy dude. What do you put on your if you're a person that likes toppings on your pie, Do you do whipped cream or do you do ice cream? And if you do ice cream, which one do you do? I would love to know what y'all think. Because I'm a person who loves ice cream. So I either put vanilla ice cream or there's a Tillamook. There's a brand called Tillamook who has really soft ice cream that you can just like scoop out and drop on a slice of pie. And it's just, whew, Lord have mercy. Sorry, got off point there talking about pie. But the point is that if HBCUGo and Urban Edge can start taking bigger slices of the pie out, then ESPN is going to have to look and say, "Yo, what's happening to this pie here? How can we keep most of this pie?" That's what they got to start figuring out. Okay, Lawrence Q says a lot of streaming services are getting into sports. Why not talk to Prime, Netflix, and Peacock for a deal? And TMB says just go with a pay-per-view with a sliding wall. As games get better, for more profile, up the pricing. Start at 99 cents per game, all the way up to $9.99. Man, look, I was 400 pounds most of my life, Steven. I'm down to 270 now. I was actually down to 218 at one point. I'm trying to get back to 225, 230, but I was 400 pounds most of my life. I ain't gonna lie to you. I love food. I've had to really be mindful of how much I love food in recent years. So I've gotten better at, what I do with food and, exercise. But yeah, I absolutely, as soon as I started talking about pie, I started thinking about, damn, I'd love a slice of apple pie with some ice cream right now. Sorry. I'm sorry. That's just, that it just entered my mind. Shout out to WSSU Ram Nation for checking in. From multiple sources, Beach Bowl teams weren't properly compensated. So yeah, that's why we don't have a Beach Bowl anymore. So whoever was in charge of the Beach Bowl really got to sort of, figure out why they couldn't give the kids, give the players, the universities and their students and their traveling parties a good enough experience. I mean, it was bad enough because do you remember watching that Florida Beach Bowl game? That game was played in the monsoon, Jack. It was rain, it was wind, it was ugh. I imagine that Fort Valley and Smith going from Carolina and Georgia to, they were thinking they were getting some good weather at the Florida Beach Bowl, and they got anything but. Zach McKinnell checks in and says, nobody's paying $9.99 to watch one game, though. People already complain about paying that per month for ESPN Plus. Pay-per-view model is outdated, in my opinion. We're going to find out. We are absolutely going to find out because they're Awful Announcing, the great blog Awful Announcing, just released a they released a report saying that streaming has outdone terrestrial TV in terms of viewership for the first time ever. So, I mean, there are people streaming things. I mean, for lack of a better term, we're streaming. HBCU Sports, our shows are all on stream. I mean, this is a live feed that you can check out either on Facebook or YouTube. And we don't have broadcast coverage yet. I mean, I would love to do a HBCU sports play-by-play game. Actually, you know what? I've done analyst work. I've covered high school basketball here in Delaware, as I've said before, and I've been an analyst on radio broadcasts. But I would love to do an HBCU broadcast the game. So if anybody out there is listening, especially at Delaware State, if you guys need an extra analyst, I'm your man. But yes, DLOB 2010 says my issue with some schools is paying and the quality is trash, including my school and others. Well, see, here's the thing with that. You got to remember, these are students that mostly are doing these broadcasts. And maybe that's up to the communications professors and communications departments to sort of impress upon the kids that they really need to step it up. But that's where it starts. That is absolutely where it starts. You have to let your, students know that, this is something that you can put on your resume. This is something you can put on your CV. This is something you can put on your reel, that when you go to apply like ESPN or Fox Sports or any other network or any other, media broadcasting company. They want to see that you've done the work, and they want to see that you've done the work well. That's something that HBCU communications professors and department heads need to really drill in their kids' heads, because I can remember I had some great professors at Delaware State University. I had Dwayne Wickham, who of course was a syndicated columnist with USA Today for over 30 years and a co-founder of NABJ. He taught us so much about journalism. At City Hagos, who was the print journalism chair for many years. He taught me about playing the game. The late Wendell Gorham taught us about speech, even though those of us who went into print really don't use our speech that much, which is crazy now because here I am talking to you guys. So, I had some great professors who taught me the craft of journalism and, communications and all of that. And that's what these professors need to do with these kids. See, Stephen Campbell knows. Shout out to Professor Wickham, man. That's my dude, man. Went to that man's house, ate crab cakes for the first time ever when I was a student, man. Great memories. just learning the craft of journalism from him and just hearing all of his stories and different things and how it all tied into journalism really helped shape me as a journalist. But yes, you have to, if you're a sports department, if you're a communications department at HBCU, you need to sit down with your kids and say, all right, look, we're going on ESPN probably 3 or 4 times a week. Y'all need to be on top of your game. We need you to zoom in when it's time to zoom in. We need you to pan when it's time to pan. We need you to have the stats ready for our broadcast team. When it's time to go to break, be sure you have everything ready to go. Make sure you have everything ready to go. And that is the key. But that's why ESPN is so successful. They can literally just say, hey, just give us your feeds and you'll be seen by thousands of people. Well, if that's true or not remains to be seen. But if you want to watch an HBCU basketball or football game on ESPN Plus, it's there. That's the key. It's there. It may not be perfect, but it's there. And that's the thing that HBCUGo and Urban Edge is going to have problems, broadening their way into that, little circle that ESPN has. And even that NBC Universal has with the what's the game? I can't remember the game. The Bayou Classic. How can I forget the Bayou Classic? But yes, so there's a lot that needs to be figured out with respect to how we're going to get these outlets that are for us, by us, to get more of the pie that ESPN is just hoarding for itself. That's going to be the key. That is going to be the key. So I think that's it for this week. See, I didn't plan on this show being this long, but again, I had to go on an hour earlier because I have I'm doing a special edition of my music podcast. By the way, if you guys have not listened to my music podcast yet on the Groove Line, you should go to YouTube. Matter of fact, let me put that in the chat so you guys can subscribe, because I am not afraid to cross promote, and Ken always tells us to cross promote our stuff. So that's my music podcast on the Groove Line. I'm doing a Black music series this month, by the way. Every day, going to be an episode. So 30 days, going to be 30 episodes. We're 18 episodes down, 19 to go. I'm tired as hell, but I'm having fun with it, and I highly recommend y'all follow along. But yes, that's going to do it for this edition of the MEAC More with Chris Stevens. Greatly appreciate y'all's time as always. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We're closing in on 5 million, not 5 million. Maybe one day we'll get to 5 million. We're closing in on 5,000 subs. Be sure to be in that number. Be in that number when the Saints go marching in. Don't forget to like and comment on these videos. That helps the algorithm grow. Be sure to donate as well. If you have a few extra coins and you want us to keep this operation going, because we all got bills, donate at hbcusports.com on the Zelle app, and also go to the website hbcusports.com/donate. Don't forget, we have a newsletter that you can sign up for at the HBCU Sports website, and follow us on social media. We are on all manners of social media. We are on the Musty app. We're on TikTok, we're on Threads, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Blue Sky. Blue Sky is so much more peaceful. There's no Nazis on Blue Sky. And if there is, you can block them. It's perfect. But yeah, thank y'all for watching this edition of the MEAC and More. Be sure to look out for Better Than Less Than with Jared Hoffman this week. Also, I think we're doing a roundtable and a swag page as well. So we got a packed week for you here on the HBCU Sports YouTube channel. So thank y'all for checking us out. Until the next time we talk, y'all take care of yourselves and each other. We gone.